Something not very positive is the recent action taken by Governor Ron DeSantis in the Sunshine State. With the stroke of a pen this morning, he signed the Heartbeat Protection Act, which effectively prohibits abortions in Florida after 6 weeks, with a few limited exceptions. This move means that Florida will no longer be a destination for individuals in the Deep South seeking abortion services. However, there are some exceptions within the law. Abortions would still be allowed if they are necessary to save the woman's life, and if the pregnancy is a result of rape or incest, abortion is allowed until 15 weeks of pregnancy with proper documentation, such as a restraining order or police report. Governor DeSantis has referred to this provision as sensible. It is certainly an interesting development. It is worth noting that while Governor DeSantis did sign the Heartbeat Protection Act into law, there is a chance that Florida's new 6-week abortion ban may not necessarily become the reigning law in the state. The ban will only take effect if the ongoing legal challenge against the current 15-week ban is upheld by the state Supreme Court. It should be noted, however, that the state Supreme Court is controlled by conservatives. Despite this, the White House was quick to issue a statement on the matter. Press Secretary Karen Jean-Pierre stated that Florida's ban goes against fundamental freedoms and runs counter to the wishes of the vast majority of Floridians. In addition, Press Secretary Jean-Pierre noted that the 6-week ban would prevent approximately 4 million women of reproductive age in Florida from accessing abortion care before they even realize they are pregnant. Furthermore, the ban would also have an impact on the nearly 15 million women of reproductive age living in other southern states with abortion bans, many of whom have relied on traveling to Florida as an option for care. The current movement to restrict reproductive health rights is completely unjust and unapologetic. Despite opposition, those who seek to limit these rights continue to push forward. The push to limit reproductive health rights is unlikely to slow down, especially among individuals like DeSantis, who is looking to gain support as he prepares for his anticipated presidential campaign in 2024. Rhonda says that DeSantis is attempting to appeal to the right-wing base that Donald Trump had during his presidency. However, he should be cautious in his efforts because the Heartbeat Protection Act is a widely unpopular bill. It is not just unpopular with Democrats and independents, but it is also not favored by many Republicans. While it may be a successful strategy in winning Republican primaries by appealing to the extreme edges of the base, Rhonda believes that DeSantis is playing with fire. The 6-week abortion ban in the Heartbeat Protection Act essentially means a complete ban on abortion since many women are not even aware that they are pregnant during the first 6 weeks. This ban prohibits women from obtaining abortions altogether. Additionally, there are other problematic provisions within the bill. Under the new Heartbeat Protection Act, women who seek abortions in cases of rape or incest are required to provide proof, such as a court order or an arrest, which can put women in danger. This provision begins to judge women on how they handle their trauma of rape or incest before allowing them to receive an abortion. In almost every aspect, the American people, including Floridians, are against this bill. However, DeSantis seems to believe that enough of his right-wing base supports this bill, and that it will give him an advantage over Donald Trump. Rhonda believes that DeSantis may have miscalculated his political strategy. However, the more pressing matter is that when Republicans are elected, they tend to strip away people's rights, as seen in the case of the Heartbeat Protection Act. Despite the unpopularity of the bill, it is intriguing to observe how the Republican establishment's actions have only strengthened Donald Trump's influence and support in recent months. Although Republicans have faith in Ron DeSantis, it should be noted that much of this faith is hypothetical. At 45 years old, DeSantis is quite young for politics, and many people see a bright future for him. However, Donald Trump has been attacking him relentlessly, particularly regarding Social Security and Medicare, making fun of him and calling him names in commercials such as "pudding fingers." Additionally, Trump has pointed out that DeSantis would not be where he is without his support. DeSantis' recent actions, such as signing the Heartbeat Protection Act, do not improve his standing with the general public or his chances of becoming the Republican Party's pragmatic, practical replacement candidate who can lead the party back on track. Donald Trump, the first president in history to be impeached twice, has caused many to question the Republican Party's actions. However, Rhonda argues that politics are at play, and Republicans are doing everything they can to strengthen Trump's influence. This trend is intriguing to observe. It is quite fascinating to watch, particularly considering that DeSantis is seen as a rising star within the Republican Party. While it's possible that DeSantis may not be in the strongest position politically after passing this bill, some people believe that his anti-abortion stance may actually help his campaign. Although it is a divisive issue, there is a belief that any candidate who is against abortion could gain support from certain voters. It's important to note that this issue is a matter of personal belief, and many people believe in the sanctity of life. Although some people, like Hannity, believe that anti-abortion candidates are unelectable, surveys suggest otherwise. While it is a matter of personal belief, politically speaking, being anti-abortion can be a death sentence for candidates, especially in swing states. However, some candidates, such as Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a potential 2024 presidential candidate, support a 15-week ban on abortion, similar to Florida's current law. The anti-abortion group, Susan B. Anthony List, has referred to it as a compassionate bill and has cited polling data showing that a majority of voters in blue-leaning Virginia support it. The group's website contains a wealth of public opinion data demonstrating popular support for 15-week bans among GOP members. I have reviewed the content, which includes research from Harvard and several other reputable institutions, indicating that a certain number of GOP members do support abortion access to some extent. It is important to note that a recent focus group survey conducted by Axios found that pro-life individuals are not supportive of the GOP's recent anti-abortion actions. The survey discovered that some Pennsylvania swing voters who identify as pro-life strongly oppose the prohibition of the widely used abortion drug, mifepristone, and view it as an example of the GOP's extremism and overreach. Based on our latest Engagos-Sago focus groups, half of the voters identified as pro-life. However, they did not agree with the recent decision by a federal judge in Texas regarding the invalidation of the FDA's approval of mifepristone. In the focus group, 12 out of the 14 participants believed that the Texas judge's ruling on mifepristone was an extreme example of partisan overreach. Additionally, some participants made statements such as "it's between them and their God," as expressed by Donna B., a pro-life voter who identifies as a Republican. One person stated, "I don't find joy in someone being unable to terminate a pregnancy." Scott A., a registered Republican, stated, "I believe mifepristone has been used safely for 20 years, and my stance on being pro-life remains the same. However, I think people should have the option to take it for their abortion." Although the sample size of the Axios focus groups was not statistically significant, we can still infer from these responses that the recent attacks by the GOP on abortion may harm the party's standing in swing states. Anti-abortion candidates may not be the best choice in such cases. Scott H.'s statement is revealing because, according to countrywide polls, 70% of Americans are pro-choice. However, Scott H.'s comment suggests that the number is even higher. He identified himself as pro-life but still believed that those seeking an abortion should have the option to take mifepristone. This means he is essentially pro-choice, which does not necessarily mean pro-abortion but rather supports the individual's right to choose. Therefore, the actual number of pro-choice individuals could be higher than 70%. Ron DeSantis and the Republican Party's stance on abortion could be problematic as they risk alienating swing voters. The Republican Party was not supposed to win on this issue. It was used as bait to lure evangelical voters. Scott H.'s comments are a prime example of how many people may identify as pro-life but still support the right to choose. Despite the initial resistance from states like Kentucky, Montana, and Kansas, who are all against pro-choice, the issue has now been removed. However, Sean Hannity is now panicking and urging others not to run on this issue. This is surprising since Republicans have always considered pro-life as their number one issue. But, in reality, the actual number one issue for Republicans has always been tax cuts for the wealthy. This was further confirmed by a comment made by a woman in a focus group who identified as pro-life but also pro-choice, stating that the government should not dictate what she does with her body. This is an important perspective to consider when discussing this issue, even though it may not be statistically significant. The message from swing voters was clear. In order for the GOP to win back Pennsylvania, they must moderate on the issue of abortion and avoid being too stridently anti-woke. This revelation may surprise those in the mainstream media and some on the political left and right, but it was not a significant surprise to me. As we have been telling you on the Young Turks, this is exactly the kind of messaging that resonates with swing voters. However, there was one issue that did not fare well. The majority of participants agreed that transgender women should not be allowed to compete on women's sports teams. Additionally, the GOP needs to